the one, the only Benzion.
Good evening and welcome to Yeshiva YouTube. Iyun Benzion. Tonight's daf is Gittin daf Lamed number 39. Very important share tonight. Really important to highlight the difference between get shichror. It's called Gittin. Two famous Gittin, and get isha and get eved. You get shichror that you give to an eved, emancipate a slave or a slave woman. Shivcha k'nainis. They're similar, but they're not 100% similar. I'm going to talk about the difference tonight. The Gemara has a lot of maskanas on this daf, right? There was a machlokas between Rav, Rabbi Yochanan, and Shmuel, whether a mafkir avdo sarach get shecher and sarach get shecher. Shmuel famously holds hamafkir avdo yas lecheres. He doesn't need to get shecher. We paskin like Rav and Rabbi Yochanan, sarach get shecher. He needs to get shecher. Once you're mafkir, you need to get shecher. Now I'm going to explain this in a second. Also, the Gemara highlights the difference at the end of Lamed and Beis. There's a very fundamental difference between a woman and an eved or a shivcha k'nainis. A woman can only acquire her freedom from her husband through a get shecher. Kesef doesn't work. The Gemara says many times. The Gemara says even though v'yatzav haisa, we thought to be makish, just like when he's kona, beginning of Mesechus Kedushin, he's kona a woman. He can be kona her both with money and with a star. He can only divorce her with a star. He cannot give her money or her give him money or he give her money, whatever way you think. Neither way works to end a marriage. It has to be through dafka a star. However, the Gemara's paskin, the Machlokes Rebbe and Reb Shimon, Tanoim on Lamed and Beis, and the Gemara's maskin, we don't hold like Reb Shimon, we hold like Rebbe, that when it comes to an Eved, Kanaini, under certain circumstances, or Shivcha Kanainis, Kesef does work. Kinyan Kesef does work. Meaning if an Eved gives his master Kesef, he can buy himself, he can free himself under certain circumstances. You don't only need a get shecher, right? Obviously, if you give him a get shecher, that works independently of the money, but you can even do it without a get shecher if you use money. Now, let me explain the following, just set it up nicely, a nice picture for you. We have over here two people, we have two relationships. We have a master and his eved and a husband and a wife. Now, the master and the eved, it's a different type of relationship. The Gemara maskana really here is that avodim are treated like karkos. They're not, obviously they move around, they're not like karkos, they're not exactly like real estate, but they're treated like real estate because the Torah says you inherit them like real estate. The Gemara learns to be kohen with chazaka, so like karkos. So they're like karkos. They're treated like karkos, like real estate. Now, real estate, as I mentioned many times, there's different types of ownership over objects. By an object, movable object, there's two aspects of ownership. You have shalo and you have bershusa. You can own the physical thing. When I hold it in my hand, when I have this cup over here, I hold it. My cup, shalo, it's also bershusa. It's in my domain. I can control who uses it, who doesn't use it. So because I let someone use it does not mean that now it's not in my hands, it's not in my reshus anymore, it's still mine, it's my cup. He has no right to take it from me, right? When he borrows it, it's still mine. It's in his reshus, his domain. He controls what happens with it. He can do whatever he wants with it, but it still remains mine. However, by karkos, there's no such thing as shalom, because I can't pick up a piece of land. Right? It's always the only ownership that land has is bershusa, it's in my domain. And usually that's represented by a document, the deed on the land. That shtar, right? When someone sells a field to someone else, you use a shtar, right? Generally. So the shtar represents my ownership over the field. We talked about in the past couple of days about halvos, that the shtar is representative of the karka, right? When I'm holding the shtar, if it's representing, if it's kasuba achrayus, right? It's encumbered property, right? The loan says that a certain land will be pledged to me if the person defaults on the loan. So therefore, it's already through the shtar, I already have in my possession the land. I have control over the land, and therefore it's like on the muhsak. And there's different halachas about pruzbol and shmita by that. We talked about that, but for all intents and purposes, avodim, there's only aspect of ownership is the reshuso. Now, this is in distinction to a woman. The Gemara says many times, Isha kagufo. A woman is not like karkol. She's not hookish to the ground. She's metaltalin. Like people are. People move around just like movable objects. You can pick up a person. They're like metaltalin. And therefore, it's possible to own both. And even though people say you don't really own your wife, but in a sense, you do. Isha kagufo. It's not that you own your wife. She's like you, but really you own her, because when you get married, there's a contract between you. even if you don't write a ksuba, there's a contract. You have to feed her, and you get her ma'aseh then midoraisa. You get whatever she earns belongs to you, and you have to feed her basic needs. Now, more than she basically needs to have a luxurious, nice life, that maybe is the rabbanan. Midoraisa, right? You have to give her her basic needs, feed her, and whatever she produces goes to you. So, midoraisa, there's ownership, shalo and bershuso. Now, the get that you give to a woman, the reason that you only can divorce a woman with a get and not with money is because a get, there's two aspects to writing a get. Cost of law, sefer krisos, v'nasan v'yada, the Torah says. Now, we'll derive different things. The cost of sefer krisos, you have to write it. That's, you need it to have special kavanah. We learned about law has to be l'shma. The ksiva or the chasima. According to our mayor, the chasima has to be l'shma. According to Rebbe Lazar, the ksiva has to be l'shma. But that's the maisa, right? So by divorcing a woman, you need two acts. You have to sever the shalo and the bershuso, that she's yours and also in your domain. The shalo you sever by writing the get lishma. Writing the get lishma, we talk about it as the maisa. The maisa is what's important. That's why it's different than Hilchos Shabbos. And the way you sever the bershuso, the domain, is that you give it nasan biyada. The shtar, the document, is representative of domain, right? Who controls the land? Who controls the land? Whoever has the deed. Who controls this woman? By giving her the shtar, I'm giving her freedom from me, and I'm severing that bond. So the writing of the shtar severs the shalo, and giving it to her severs bershuso. However, kesef, and the reason you can't divorce a woman with kesef is because kesef is metaltal in itself, and kesef, all it does, kesef is basically representative of value. Kesef is not necessarily has value, right? An object, an Arshkol Gemara has value. It's worth something because it's something I can do. A dollar bill is not worth anything. It used to be backed by gold, but it's really not worth anything. It's just people, it's fiat. Basically, the government and people give it value by considering it something worth something. If people stop giving money value, it'd be worthless. So it has value only in terms of bershuso. There's no inherent value of money. Holding on to money, I don't own the money. I own the value. It allows me to buy certain things. It gives me domain over what I can buy, control over what I can buy, but I don't own the actual dollar. So therefore, if a woman would give me money and say, I'm gonna buy my freedom from you, she can only buy her bershuso or domain, but the shalo still belongs to Isha Kagufo. So there's no way of severing that with money. You can't do it with money. So that's why you need to get shechur. You need the ksiva. However, I believe the get shechur by an eved is not like this. It's avodim karkos. The only ownership I have over avodim is in the bershuso. They're like karkos. So I only own them in that respect. So since I only own them I only halfway own them, right? I don't own them fully. So therefore, there's two ways of relinquishing. Either you give kesef, right? If he buys himself, he has his own money. Somehow he has his own money. He gives it to his eved. He can acquire his bershuso from that. Just like kesef works by karkos also, and shtar also. The shtar representative of bershuso. That's all you have to sever over there. The reason I'm mafkir avdo, right? If you relinquish ownership over your eved, sarach gets shechur. The reason you get shechur in that case is because once you're mafkir the eved, so that means I relinquish when I make something hefker, right? I go ahead and I put this. I say, right, hefker over here, right? So I've severed shalo. It's not mine anymore. I said it doesn't belong to me anymore. But I can still take it, right? Before someone else takes it, I can take it. So it's in a certain sense still in my reshus. Therefore, you need to get shechur to get rid of that bershuso, and that's why you need to get shechur, because even though, right. Even though I severed my shalo over here, I say I'm not the owner anymore, but since I have domain, I can take it back. So therefore, you need to get shukr. That's the halacha. You need to get shukr. A mafkar avdasar get shukr. That's the difference in a woman. And therefore, one difference halachically I think should follow is that there's no halacha of writing a get shukr lishmo for this eved or this. I think if you write a get shukr for the name of an eved, and you happen to have a different eved, and you want to use it to get shechur, you could. There's no ma'asek siva. Suppose to a woman, you need the ma'asek siva to sever the shalo. There's no shalo by an eved or a shivcha, and therefore there's no din of lishma by a get shechur. That's what I believe. Hope you enjoyed today's share. See you in the next one.